Well, the demise of HMV had been much anticipated until yesterday. It appeared that the music industry would do all it could to prop up the UK's only remaining nationwide music retailer. So what changed?
They're caught in this absolute pincer movement between the popularity now of downloading music as opposed to buying it in physical form, and the fact that music itself is a declining market. I mean, there just isn't so much demand for people to go out and buy CDs. So it's an almost remorseless process, and we've seen Tower Records go and we've seen Virgin Records go, and I think with the departure of HMV, it really is the end of an era.
Well, here with me at the Gherkin is Andy Heath. He's a director at Beggars Group, which runs several top independent record labels. Nice to see you. Many thanks for coming in. So, Tower Records gone, Virgin Records gone. HMV is in a business that seems to be going out of business.
Well, I think that the state that HMV is in today is very sad. I think there's an element of relief on behalf of the music industry in the sense that we, of course, want a high street retail presence. The high street retail presence that HMV occupies is actually very popular. I just think the group of companies that is HMV have been operating under a business structure which is not supportable in this day and age. There's plenty of customers.
What do you mean, very high rents?
Well, the rents are too high. There's too many shops. There's too many loans to service. The whole business is out of proportion to the model that will work. Selling, I mean, there's no demand. I did an interview earlier today in Oxford Street outside HMV. It was packed. I was talking to another correspondent who is on another broadcaster outside the HMV in Manchester. It's packed. However, they're the bigger stores operating in the bigger cities where there is significant demand. And I think that HMV have not been able, under the structure which they operated, to do the retraining, to do the representation. I mean, I have a very peripheral involvement in the opening of the Rough Trade shop in Shoreditch, which is a big, large, substantial record store. Does very well. It's done better and better year after year. So all the retail analysts and all the kind of observers and commentators are going, "Ooh, it's doomed, it's all over." It actually isn't over. Music consumption is higher than it ever has been. There's been a huge disruption because of the internet. There's been huge interruption in terms of consumers being able to get stuff for free because it wasn't actually available legitimately. It is now available legitimately. So the digital growth is double digit, and actually retail CDs is still a very, very decent business. And I would be astounded if somebody didn't come in and take a very good business out of the middle of this.
Well, what about that? Because it's not as though Amazon suddenly appeared. Downloading has been going on a long while. These were not new phenomena.
No.
So what was it about the HMV management that prevented it from reacting to this? Why did it not adapt?
They were miles too slow to respond. I mean, in the same way as
well, they just thought that their business model would go on forever.
Well, I don't know what they thought. I wasn't in conversation with them at that point. But I mean, in the same way that the music industry, and indeed the film industry now, responded much too slowly to the internet. But you've got to remember, these companies operated for many decades in a certain way. Overnight, they weren't going to change. Business practice doesn't change like that. The music industry and the film industry now, the music industry has changed enormously since the internet and readapted extremely well. But you know, don't forget, CD sales are a huge part of this business, and a huge proportion of the market prefer to buy their music on CDs. It's no good commentators standing outside a shop in Oxford Street saying everyone wants to download their music, because actually everyone doesn't want to download their music. Quite a lot of people want to go to a shop. I'm not for a minute being in denial about the mess that the high street's in. I fully appreciate that. But I think there's some very viable stores within the HMV group.
So what about that question I asked our two previous guests, which was, how does this play out? Do you see HMV in some shape or form still being a force in 2 years' time?
Yes. I think it's a great brand, and I think at least half the... I agree with your first commentator. About half the business, I think, is very viable.
Interesting. Andy Heath, many thanks for coming in. Nice to see you.
Pleasure.
Now,